fighting a football player? And Lil Baby, I don't know him that well, just from his personality, he don't look like he gonna let you try and play him neither. So what's next? What's next? What's next?
Move the option B, man. It's option A. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, like Mo said, when it's a camera era, this is to anybody. If the camera's on, you almost gotta turn up, because the camera's on. We just saw that online, Let's get it shaking, The camera's out. Something's supposed to happen. The camera's out.
Yeah. No, you're right. Listen, I tell niggas that all the time. You want to, even if it's for niggas, just snuff a nigga and get jumped. At that point, because it looked like you tried to do something.
Yeah.
But it's just in general, and I'm not saying it ain't athlete niggas who not gangster, tough, or whatever else, but you have to realize 9 times out of 10, it's a lot of entertainers that even though they're very talented, make great music and so on and so forth, but they got out of rough situations to where now they're looking at their superstars musically, but they
a shooting. When officers arrived at the scene, they found a victim suffering from an apparent gunshot wound. It was later revealed it was White who suffered the wound to his ankle, and reports say the entourage tried to enter his private event. Then it was noted a witness went upstairs to get assistance from management to de-escalate the situation and heard 2 gunshots. When they returned downstairs, the 49ers player had been shot in the left leg. So a lot going on. Maurice, what are your thoughts on the situation? Do you have any advice for those type of situations? Because things pop off all the time, but how do you think those situations should be handled?
Yeah, I had a thought on it, and I just don't be thinking like a lot of young guys know, just because you grow up in a different era, you just don't have people who teach you or who guide you. And I don't know, it's all speculation. Of course, Lil Baby's there. They got into an argument, so you'll blame whoever he's with. But I'm speaking to the football players in this regard. In this day and age, man, when you're dealing with egos, popularity, or you argue with anybody, I think even when you arguing with somebody of some stature and you're dealing with the camera era, where everybody has to record everything and everybody has to put everybody on spot, I think all of that stuff just escalates stuff. You know what I mean? And so just having the presence of mind, whether you or somebody you with, just not even to put yourself in a situation where you're having confrontation. And I just know that it's people around people who are real popular, because there's people who are around me, that these people will fuck you up just to show loyalty to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure that it's a lot of football players that they'll be in confrontation with people that realize that there's people, like you can argue on the internet, and I'm not saying that this is what happened, but it's me giving an example that like having the presence of mind to say, hey, before this stuff go any further, before I raise my voice, before I get other people involved in it, or not even the person I'm talking to, just people that they love around them involved in it, and you end up in these silly situations, and we have to talk about that. I keep on talking about risk management. It's like some shit just ain't worth it, and there's enough information out here that keeps you out of these situations. So it ain't just about him. It's not saying that either Lil Baby did it or the people he was with did it, but it's for somebody else to learn from it, to say, hey man, you just don't put yourself in a situation because you don't really understand all the factors and the people around, the people who you may be arguing.
Totally agree with you. I think this is a healthy way to have this conversation. When you're playing football, you got to remember you're doing cleans, pause, you're doing pull-ups, you're doing power squats, you're doing everything that make you probably look like a bodyguard or anything else. So when you're running up on normal people, that's really their only method of defense, not taking his side or Lil Baby's side or whoever's side, not saying that any of them were there. But when you think of someone like Keion White, he's gonna look like a definite threat, even though it's his party. So you got to keep that in mind when you're running up on people, like we was just talking, even though we was joking about Isaiah Stewart, but that's what happened when people run up on people that are not their size. They,
I ain't saying nothing. I ain't the next nigga getting shot, nigga. I already, you say something now these days, murder. They get mad at everybody. I don't got time for all that, man. I've been shot once. I don't want time to get shot. don't got nothing to say about none of it. But outside of this situation, I have nothing to say about Keyshawn or Lil Baby. Lil Baby's cool. That's my man. I don't know Keyshawn. So let's move.
Keion White.
Keion. I don't know him, but get better. Let's move them out the way. Mace is right. Yo, bro. You know niggas be like, yo, when I see niggas, y'all niggas is in the gym every day doing all type of exercise and everything else. Lil Baby, probably, I don't know. I haven't seen him. I seen him in person once, maybe like 170.
Yeah.
160, a little shorter than me, maybe 5. Now, man, listen, bro. He's not fighting a football player. And Lil Baby, I don't know him that well, just from his personality, he don't look like he gonna let you try and play him neither. So what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah. Move the option B, man. Because option A is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And when you think about that, like Mo said, when it's a camera era, this is to anybody. If the camera's on, you almost gotta turn up. Because the camera's on. We just saw that online, you know. Let's get it shaking, you know? The camera's out. Something's supposed to happen. The camera's out. Yeah. You know?
Yo, you're right. Listen, I tell niggas that all the time. You want to, even if it's for nigga, just snuff a nigga and get jumped. At that point, because it looked like you tried to do something.
Yeah.
But it's just in general, and I'm not saying it ain't athlete niggas who not gangster, tough, or whatever else, but you have to realize 9 times out of 10, it's a lot of entertainers that even though they're very talented, make great music and so on and so forth, but they got out of rough situations to where now they're superstars musically, but they will backtrack to their original origin or their environment, and you're putting their back against the wall because you're an athlete. Mace, look, I'm really out to say Mace kind of broke it down perfectly because he looks like a threat. I didn't even Google a picture of Keion. I'm just saying the average athlete. I was online.
Yeah, defensive line.
Yeah, it was a boxer the other day, right? I don't want to see a picture of him. I'm cool. I was a boxer online, right, the other day, right? And, you know, niggas diss me all the time, murder, this, that, and the third, so I don't be giving a fuck. But he said some slick shit, and he was like, and me and him, I'm not even gonna bring his name, but we resolved it since then. It's actually since Sin resolved it. But the other day he was like, yo, I guess he didn't like my take on the Shakur fight. Oh, that's what happened, yeah. He's mad like, oh, Kim shouldn't talk about boxing because him and Murder, now they like Shakur, they didn't like him this. And I'm like, bro, we here to just talk about what we see.
If you look good, we talk good.
Right.
If you look bad, we talk bad.
And that's kind of what I related.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yo, man, y'all niggas on niggas dick. And I'm like, whoa. What's all that about?
Who said that?
The nigga I'm talking about. And I'm like, yo, you need to watch all that. He's like, yo, stop playing with me. I'll beat you up. This is what he texted me. So I looked, I'm like, he live in the Bronx. I said, where you gonna live? Not going back to the Bronx. And then Sin got involved and everything else. But that's what I'm saying. Like the point is, yeah, you're right. I was 49. I'm not gonna box a boxer who boxes every day for a living. But I'm not gonna let you talk to me crazy and do something to me. A lot of times, and I'm not talking about Mace, myself or Mace. If you see a lot of people walk around like my man, and I'm not saying he'll do anything. I give an example, my man DC, right? He be dolo a lot of times. Shout out to man DC, that's my nigga. Because he knows if you do something to him,
where it's going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I be like, yo, man, you good? He be like, nah. Because man got the label. He's like, nah, killer, I'm good. And I seen him running the altercations by himself. And the consequences,
They're dire.
Yeah, they're dire.
That's what I tell niggas. You think I'm by myself? It's going straight to heavy metal. That's exactly where it's going. So, you rock and roll all you want.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my man DC.
But
man.
I changed since then. Me and Mo, we got sponsors, killer. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you get rich enough. What age? This is a question for all of us in the room. What age and what amount of millions do you get that you got to call the police? What age do you get to at that age? Because I think I'm making enough millions. I might be ready to call the cops on niggas.
You pay taxes.
Yeah. That's my gang. My gang is the police.
Yeah, listen, you pay tax dollars.
If I'm in trouble, I'll use the firearm, but I make enough to call the police now, Cam.
Listen, I'm not knocking it. The thing about it is, right, this is one thing. You say you'll call the police, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the room making deals with them. Niggas is out here making deals with niggas. we got footage and tape record. Niggas out here making full-fledged deals. You got to make a call to get out of the situation. That's cool, man. You ain't asked for a cheeseburger and fries.
They ain't give me a cigarette and a Black and Mild.
Yeah, man.
And a Mountain Dew.
Yeah. I get that,
Black
man.
and Mild in the mouth.
Yeah,
I get that.
That's
fair.
That's what our CPA asked me, Killer. He was making insurance for us. He said, "How much money do you guys got to make to call the police?" He said, "Ask Cam."
See, this is what I would do. And I'm just telling you, right?
Yeah.
Thank God I haven't been in that situation, but if just in case, because you never know. What you got to do is this, right? If you got to call police, I'm gonna give you some advice. I've never been in that situation. This is what I would do.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hello, they'd be like, 911, what's the problem? I'd be like, you better come get them before I do
Niggas still sound tough on 911. You better come get these niggas right now.
They gonna put your shit out there before I do something crazy to these niggas. Before I do something crazy to these niggas, you better come get them.
Oh, man.
So, you know, that's some advice if need be. Hopefully it won't come to that. Not going
It won't.
Yeah.
It won't.
Yeah.
It won't come to that.
Yeah.
But that's, hey, y'all, straight up.
Oh, man.
Last thing I want to add just regarding the situation, because I know articles and social media, as soon as they see something, they're so quick to attach somebody's name to something, which is why I'm super clear on making sure I say allegedly and this was reported, just because people are trying to say this person did this and this person did that. We don't know if this person did this.
Yeah, we don't know if Lil Baby did anything. We don't know if Keion. We don't even know if Keion got shot. We was never there.
Not even related.
Yeah.
And social media is just so quick to attach somebody's name to a story to just paint some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even though we talked about it from a more general stance, still the question and how I read it, I just want to make that clear. Because
Yeah, but the 49ers does not need another injury.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That's the sad part. That's what I was thinking about. Like, man, another injury for the 49ers. And anytime an athlete gets shot, they're never the same. I could go through the history of them. People be prominent. They be promising as young up-and-coming talent. But once that happens, it's like even teams sometimes pull away from you because they feel like you're dangerous. So I really hope that this goes well for him. Yeah. And he recover, have a speedy recovery, and attack the field with aggression.
And another thing from somebody who's been shot, it's better on breaking a bone. If you get nerve damage, it probably never be the same. Like, I can't feel my pinky on my right hand to this day. Like, and I got shot, it'll be 20 years ago this year. So, and I still can't feel my pinky and my ring finger on my right hand because I have nerve damage. Zeke is in the building today. It started raining. He been shot up on his stomach. He like, damn, my whole day is fucked up. So, because of the weather. So sometimes, that's why I'm like, when you're an athlete, you got to take your career into more consideration and say, man, I'm staying the fuck away from that. It's hard when you're younger, I understand that, but getting shot is not always a recovery thing.
Yeah. And something I do want to add too, because I know you're talking about just like being careful and being aware of your surroundings. Sometimes people are put in situations that they're not even aware of. Because I know we were talking about the 49ers, even Ricky Pearsall, like he went shopping and it was an armed robbery and he got shot and he didn't even start an altercation or do anything to warrant that.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Happened to him. Yeah, like it's just kind of also like knowing where you're at too. So.
It's called self-awareness. You actually gotta be aware of your surroundings and aware of yourself, right? So there's certain things that you don't want to handle. You don't put yourself there. It can't happen if you're not there. So this is why you have assistants. This is why you have bodyguards. This is why you have house parties instead of parties on the bottom floor, pause, and somebody's on the higher floor, right? You're still in the same building with these people. If you don't want to be in a building with them, you rent an Airbnb, a multi-million-dollar Airbnb, have security out there. I remember I went to this party Jamie Foxx had, and he put the party on the studio's lot. He made Club Live over in this studio party. I mean, and it was the best party I think I ever been to. It wasn't no crazy stuff going on. All celebrities was there. Was no security guards. And everybody was performing. And it was like, once your song come on, you do 2 of your songs. Every celebrity that was there was performing 2 of their famous records. It was a great time, right? But he had it in a secluded place where no guns could come, no gang members could come. You know, it was just all good people there. So that was a great time. You gotta secure the type of party you want to have if that's the party you want to have.
Real quick question, because you just made me think of something before we move on. When this is actually for you and Cam, when y'all go to an event or like a function or something, and somebody starts playing your song, do you like what is your do you like that, or do you kind of just walk through, like, you know, when people are like, oh, this person's arrived, and they start playing your music on the loudspeaker?
I mean, sometimes it's cool. I hate it when I go in stores and people do that. Right? They'll be playing Post Malone, and then you walk in and they throw your music on. It's so obvious they're putting it on just because you were there, because that wasn't even the vibe of the store, right? When you go from Pooh Shiesty to Macy's, like, you know, that's a weird transition. You gotta play a few records before you get there. Shout out to Pooh Shiesty.
Right. The Jamie Foxx party that you went to, was Puff there?
Nah.
It was secluded. It was secluded and safe.
Okay, we back at it. Okay.
No, you said it was secluded and safe. I just was saying. you performed.
It was on the WB or one of those movie studio lots, and they remade Club Live, and Puff wasn't there, but it was like Denzel, Leonardo DiCaprio, Luda. It was a real cool party. It was like all of the people you think are cool, not all the people you think are creeps.
Yeah.
You gotta be clear these days. So thank you for having my back. Yo.
I wanted you to explain.
Yeah. So nobody be like, oh yeah, Mace was at the party.
Yeah.
Not the party.
I did that for you.
Yeah, you're right.
To answer your question, Mace is correct. Like, when it's obvious, it's annoying. Like, I hate that shit. Like, I hate it so much. Like, you know, when you're young, when it first happened, cool, but I just hate when it's mad obvious. Like, when you get in the car and the driver notices you and they be like, and then they throw it on, like, yo, your whole playlist, like, yo, my nigga, it's just me and you in here, pause. I don't need to hear my whole playlist right now. Or like May said, when you go in a restaurant, they change the shit. I really hate it. I really do. If they're already playing it, then cool.
That's smooth. But like putting it on demand as soon as I walk in the building, you're supposed to start performing. Like, you're like, literally, I'm just walking and trying to enjoy myself. But cool. Right. That's a funny answer for y'all, because I never asked y'all that, but I always thought about how that would transpire.
Mace is right. When When they do it purposely, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
When you first hear your record, you go crazy. When it's your first time hearing it, I remember I was in the college dorms when I first heard myself on the radio. I was like, oh yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's how it be. Yo, first time I heard my song on the radio ever. First time I heard my song on the radio, I didn't have a baby. I was with my baby mom, and we was in her car. She went to school in Delaware, and I wasn't even in New York. We was in Delaware, but they get Philly radio station, and the song I did with DMX came on the radio, Pull It, and she's like, "Yo, that's you," and I'm like. I'm being the smoothest possible. She's like, yo, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm in the studio. I've been trying to tell you shit about to go up. Or she got out, I was like, yeah. I was dumb hype. Yo, I was dumb hype. I was dumb hype. But she's a gangster, so I had to play cool. But she was hype. I had to play super duper cool, but that was the first time. I assumed like, how you trying to control yourself on the inside pause? I did the best I could, but when she got out, I almost got out the car and pumped my fists and everything. Word.
Real shit. Okay, y'all, we're going to go to break. When we return, we will discuss All-Star Weekend. Don't go anywhere.
The city had barely come down from one of the wildest weekends in sports history. The Seattle Seahawks had just dominated the New England Patriots in a one-sided Super Bowl finish. And even though the game was over, celebrations, parties, and after-hours events were still going strong well into the morning. But by Monday, February 9th, the story dominating headlines across the city had suddenly shifted far away from football. Instead, attention turned toward a shooting outside a nightclub on Mission Street. And before long, one of rap's biggest names was reportedly tied to the situation. So before jumping to conclusions, let's slow this entire story down and break it apart piece by piece, because there are already plenty of competing details circulating. Some parts of the story match up, some raise questions, and the most important thing right now is separating what police have actually confirmed from what various reports are still claiming. According to the San Francisco Police Department, officers received a call at approximately 4:06 a.m. about a business on the 1700 block of Mission Street. Once officers arrived, they found a man who had suffered a gunshot wound. That man was later identified as Keion White, a defensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers. White had been struck in the ankle. Officers assisted him at the scene until paramedics arrived and transported him to a nearby hospital. Police said his injuries were not considered life-threatening, but they were serious enough to require surgery, which White underwent later that same afternoon. Now, the location matters a lot, because this is exactly where the story starts getting much more complicated. Several reports, including coverage from the San Francisco Standard, NBC Sports Bay Area, and Rolling Stone, identified the venue as a bar and nightclub known as Des. White was reportedly hosting a private event inside the establishment. That gathering was taking place downstairs, away from the club's main level, where a much larger party was happening with performers and a considerably bigger crowd. Upstairs, on that main floor, was rapper Lil Baby, whose legal name is Dominique Jones. Reports indicate that he had remained in San Francisco after performing the previous night as part of the Super Bowl weekend festivities. And according to multiple accounts, Jones and members of his crew continued partying into the early morning. This is the point where the reported accounts of the night begin to overlap. A police report obtained by the San Francisco Standard and cited by outlets such as The Athletic, ESPN, and NFL.com says Jones and members of his entourage allegedly tried to gain entry to White's private gathering downstairs. That was reportedly when a verbal confrontation developed between the two groups. One witness told investigators they saw the confrontation before going back upstairs to locate club management and ask for assistance in settling things down. But during the witness's absence, they reportedly heard 2 gunshots. When that person returned downstairs, White had already been shot. That general sequence of events has appeared repeatedly across much of the reporting surrounding the case. But this is where you really have to slow down, because not every report describes the situation in exactly the same way. One widely circulated Yahoo Sports report, citing The Athletic, stated that White was not believed to have been directly involved in the confrontation between the groups, while still confirming that the shooting happened during the same broader incident. And that is a significant difference from reports that make it sound like White himself was directly arguing with Jones. To be fair, that kind of conflicting information is not necessarily surprising in the first couple of days after a chaotic overnight shooting, especially when investigators are speaking with witnesses who may have seen completely different parts of the incident. That is also why established outlets have repeatedly used language like reportedly and according to a police report, rather than treating every detail as proven. And honestly, that is the same standard we should be applying to this story. One detail that has remained consistent, however, is that police have not publicly named a suspect. The department said its preliminary investigation uncovered a verbal dispute between two groups inside the business, followed by shots being fired by an unknown suspect that wounded the victim. At this point, that is essentially where the official information ends. Based on the most recent reports available, no arrests have been announced. The case has been handed over to the San Francisco Police Department's Strategic Investigation Unit, which generally works on more complicated or high-profile investigations, a move that suggests authorities are treating this case seriously, given the people involved and the massive attention surrounding it. Investigators also recovered evidence from the scene, including 2 shell casings from different calibers, identified as 9mm and .45 caliber. That detail immediately creates another major question, because it could indicate that more than one firearm was present or potentially fired during the incident, adding another layer to an already confusing timeline. Reports further indicate that investigators obtained surveillance footage from the nightclub and discovered an abandoned cell phone at the scene, 2 potentially valuable pieces of evidence that may take time to examine, but could eventually help investigators establish exactly who was present and what happened. Another strange detail mentioned in nearly every major report was the scene police reportedly encountered when they entered the club. According to the police report, officers described seeing numerous scantily clad females picking up dollar bills scattered across the floor, with some reportedly appearing to be adult entertainers. It might seem like a strange side note, but it actually paints a much clearer picture of the chaos officers walked into after the shooting, with performers, customers, and employees still inside as police worked to secure the location and find the injured man. When investigators spoke with White, the report said he was unwilling to cooperate when asked who had shot him. That fact alone does not automatically point to anything suspicious, because people caught in violent and confusing situations can have many reasons for refusing to identify someone immediately. A victim, especially someone with a recognizable public profile, might want to avoid publicity, might not have clearly seen what happened in the chaos, or could simply be reluctant to get further involved with an investigation. Whatever White's personal reason may have been, his refusal to identify the shooter forced investigators to depend much more heavily on witnesses, physical evidence, and surveillance footage, instead of getting a direct answer from the person who was actually wounded. And when it came to White's own public reaction, his response afterward was surprisingly low-key. He did not immediately release a statement explaining what had happened. It was not until Tuesday evening, roughly a day and a half after the shooting, that he posted an update on Instagram. In that message, he thanked everyone who had reached out with prayers, concern, and support. He also said the incident would not prevent him from continuing to spread peace and positivity to the world. White added that he was in great spirits and ready to enjoy his off-season. But one thing he very noticeably did not address was whether he had actually been involved in an argument with Lil Baby. He left that part of the story completely unanswered, which stood out because the alleged connection to Lil Baby had already become one of the biggest talking points surrounding the shooting. Meanwhile, representatives for Lil Baby reportedly had not immediately responded to multiple media outlets seeking comment, including Rolling Stone. Social media posts from that weekend do appear to show Jones in San Francisco during the Super Bowl festivities, which lines up with reports that he performed in the city, but his representatives have yet to issue a detailed public statement addressing the specific allegations surrounding the reported confrontation before the shooting. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie also addressed the incident publicly, stating that violence anywhere in the city is unacceptable and revealing that he had been in contact with both the police department and 49ers leadership. He said he would continue cooperating with law enforcement efforts aimed at keeping neighborhoods throughout the city safe. On its own, that sounds like the standard response you would expect from a mayor after a serious act of violence, but the timing gives his comments another level of importance because the incident unfolded during the year's biggest sports weekend, when San Francisco was already receiving enormous national attention because of the Super Bowl. Now let's turn the attention back to Keion White, because his football career adds another major dimension to everything that happened. White joined the 49ers after being traded away from the New England Patriots during the 2025 season. By most accounts, he had begun settling into his new situation, appearing in multiple games while recording tackles and sacks for both organizations during that season. In fact, White was seen at the Super Bowl supporting his former team, the Patriots, before they ultimately lost to the Seahawks. So in the span of roughly half a day, he went from watching his former team compete in the biggest game in football to becoming the victim of a shooting at a private event tied to his own offseason. For an NFL player entering an offseason with a new franchise, an incident like this can become more than just a short-term physical setback. Even though the team has indicated that the injury should not threaten his career, situations like this can create an off-field storyline that follows an athlete long after the physical damage has healed. Fair or not, fans and team executives can sometimes start questioning an athlete's surroundings after something like this, even when the player may have done nothing wrong and simply ended up in the middle of a dangerous situation. That could help explain why White has chosen to keep his public message centered on positivity, healing, and looking ahead, rather than allowing this incident to become the defining story of his career. There's also another important piece of history here, because this is not the first recent instance of a 49ers player becoming the victim of a shooting in San Francisco. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was shot in Union Square in August 2024 during what authorities described at the time as an attempted robbery. Pearsall eventually recovered and returned to the field that same season, later becoming a valuable contributor for the team. That gives the 49ers organization and its supporters a very recent example of what an athlete's recovery can look like after experiencing something this traumatic. The franchise already has a real-life example of a player surviving a shooting, completing the recovery process, and returning to make a difference on the field. That obviously doesn't guarantee White will experience the exact same recovery, but it does mean the organization has faced an eerily similar situation before, which is an incredibly unsettling reality for the same franchise to deal with twice in under 2 years. But if we zoom out from the individual names and details, there's a much broader issue surrounding the type of environment where incidents like this can unfold. Super Bowl weekend brings a massive combination of money, fame, athletes, entertainers, and media attention into one city within an incredibly short window. NFL players, rappers, celebrities, influencers, and large entourages can all end up in the same nightlife districts, sometimes just streets apart, and sometimes inside the very same building. Having a private event downstairs while a much larger public party is happening upstairs isn't exactly unusual during a weekend of this scale. And sometimes all it takes is one disagreement about access, invitations, or who is allowed into a particular area for an already crowded venue to become tense almost instantly. None of that excuses what happened or makes the shooting any less unacceptable. Whatever disagreement may have started the situation, an argument over entering a private party can never justify someone pulling out a gun and firing. The reality is that there were multiple moments when the people involved could have simply walked away before everything escalated. but understanding the environment does help explain why tensions can become more dangerous around huge, high-profile events like the Super Bowl. It also shows why security becomes such a critical issue for private party hosts, and why major event weekends can sometimes bring an increase in highly publicized incidents late at night. And it raises a bigger question about how much control anyone can truly have over a packed nightlife setting at 4 in the morning, regardless of how famous they are, how much security surrounds them, or how large their entourage might be. Alcohol, adrenaline, cramped spaces, and groups of unfamiliar people can transform a minor disagreement into a serious threat incredibly quickly, and celebrity status or wealth doesn't make anyone immune to that reality. Right now, the investigation remains ongoing. The SFPD Strategic Investigation Unit is still handling the case, while authorities have asked anyone with potentially useful information to contact them through a public tip line. No suspect has been publicly named, and no arrests had been announced in the latest available reporting. Until investigators release something more substantial, much of the online conversation about who fired the shots is still speculation rather than proven information, so viewers should be extremely careful with anyone online confidently claiming they already know exactly who pulled the trigger. Lil Baby has continued appearing publicly since the incident without offering a detailed explanation of what reportedly happened inside the nightclub. White, meanwhile, has kept his own public comments focused on thanking supporters and expressing confidence about his recovery, without confirming the reported details surrounding the confrontation. And that's exactly what makes this case so difficult to cover responsibly. Several credible news organizations have published accounts that generally agree on the broader timeline of what happened that night. At the same time, major questions are still unresolved, including whether White was actually involved in the confrontation and, perhaps most importantly, who fired the weapon. Until police make an arrest or reveal additional evidence, the most responsible way to describe this situation is as an active investigation filled with unanswered questions and conflicting details, not as a finished case with a confirmed shooter. Keion White is expected to make a full recovery following surgery, and the 49ers have indicated that they will release further updates about his condition when necessary. For now, the incident stands as a powerful reminder of how quickly a night built around celebration can take a serious turn, and how many unanswered questions can remain even after major media outlets have extensively covered the same event. And as investigators continue digging into what happened, this story could shift dramatically if authorities announce an arrest, Lil Baby's representatives provide a detailed response, or White eventually decides to speak more openly about that night.